All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to Gaming in General. We are on episode 3?
Yeah, 3.
Holy shit, we're on 3. How the hell did we get here already?
I don't know. I didn't think we'd make it past 1.5.
There was a half?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, episode 3. We don't really know how long this is going to go, so we're just kind of winging it and playing it by ear as...
Yeah, we'll probably keep going until we get bored, or...
You tell us to fuck off.
Yeah.
Whichever comes first.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a quick recap. He's Drew, I'm Tyler, or Church, whichever floats your boat. But last episode we were talking about the Warhammer Quest game that he picked up a month ago?
Yeah, month,
give or
month
take.
and a half, something like that.
And
I don't know, the weekend it came out.
Yeah.
I got super lucky.
Yeah. And he's basically been spending the last few weeks painting the models, kind of running through the game for the most part with me as far as like the basics of it, just like little tidbits.
I think we've read through the rules and then played one full journey now.
Yep. And overall, get that out of the way. Overall, it's definitely an interesting game. Like,
It's a lot of fun.
it is a lot of fun. Like, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve for anybody that hasn't done like either tabletop games
Or games of its type at the very least.
yeah, like for me, well, I guess for you too.
And other than Warhammer, I haven't really played anything like this.
Well, I mean, I've had very little Warhammer to go off of.
You say that like I've played so much more Warhammer than you.
I'm more of basing it off of you just have that tidbit more experience where that could just be that extra.
Yeah, like 2 whole games more than you.
That's 2 more games that I don't have. But anyway, yeah, for anybody that hasn't played those kinds of games before or is still fairly new to the games, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve, and I would say that we're still in the learning process even after the first game.
Oh yeah, but as we played more, like more things became more and more apparent. Like it's not even like you have to play game after game for it to make sense. Just like as you play, things just click.
Exactly. Like there's definitely going to be some struggles to start, just with the fundamentals, but once you start to get more familiar with each part of the turns for you as well as the creatures that will spawn during the game, it's honestly not a bad system. Like you can definitely get a good momentum. Like when we did like our first initial probably 2 turns, there was definitely a lot of like,
I think our first 2 rounds took almost an hour to get through because we had to keep looking at the rule book to figure out make sure we were doing everything right. But it was between us both passing the book back and forth and being confused by what it said at some points, and then once we got past that, like turns went by in minutes. Like it just very fluid back and forth.
Yeah, and there's still like plenty of stuff that will be involving more what's it called? Require more attention, if you will, like with the leveling and things like that. Like you can definitely go with just like a one and done for each like progression of the story, or you can make it into what I would consider probably a full D&D kind of campaign.
Yeah, like the game is definitely geared towards being played in that full campaign idea, but it is also very easy to set up and just do a one-off with like a friend that doesn't normally play with you or something and just introduce them to the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely set up so that you can have those types of games too.
Yeah, it very, I think, is a really good kind of introductory to a lot of the tabletop type of games.
Table type games?
Yeah, you know where I was going with that.
So that's a game that you play with a table, right?
Sure. Or use a table as part of the game, or...
So, ping pong.
Are you... That's not where I was going with that, but sure. We'll go with that. That sounds better than me beating people with a table. But anyway...
Always the violence. I thought I was the violent one.
I can be passive-aggressive.
But it's just aggressive.
Well, in this case. But anyway, yeah, overall, I think just from the first game that we finished up a little bit ago, I think it is a very beginner level, I guess, or rather introductory kind of game to tabletops in general. Again, I only go off of the little bit of experience I have with tabletops, but for me, this was a very easy to like understand and kind of get delved into.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier than jumping into like Dungeons and Dragons or full-on Warhammer or anything like that. Like, it's definitely got that nice beginner-friendly atmosphere, especially if you're playing with someone that actually knows what they're doing and not two knuckleheads trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to definitely be, like, the usual, depending on your friend group and whatnot, or whoever you play with, the banter and nonsense and probably some sidetracking, or a lot of sidetracking.
Yeah, if your friends are anything like ours, you get them all together, nothing happens. Just everyone's talking about things that have already happened.
Yeah. All in all, like, it can be a very quick game within reason. I say quick game, probably like...
The box says hour to 3 hours per session.
Depending on...
I'd say that's fair.
Depending on, again, your skill level as well as odds and ends like that.
And, like, that does include, like, time to set up your maps. So, it's... Because I think it took us, what, like, maybe 45 minutes to finish up with the game we were playing earlier?
I think so, yeah.
And we were, what, a turn or two into it to start before we actually picked up today. So, I'd say our total play time for the first game was an hour.
Yeah, I think roughly. So, it's honestly not a bad setup for, again, either introductory level players to tabletops or just players that enjoy tabletops and want to have like a really nice casual setting with all the bells and whistles included in it, and especially for people that love to like paint the miniatures and whatnot. Like, Drew's been going ham on that shit, which if you haven't seen his painting, go check it out because he's got some really cool shit there.
Yeah, most of the models I've painted for the game can actually be found on my Instagram right now. You can check it out at Gaia Flare Paints.
Yeah.
I try to keep at least one or two of each of the models from the game on there, but, you know, along with everything else.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking a bit earlier, like, his now growing collection of the models that he's since acquired since we first talked about either playing the game of Warhammer or just miniatures in general. Like,
I see a cool model, I buy it, I eventually paint it.
Yeah, I would say so. But, I mean, you're getting near, what, almost 3 full armies, give or take?
1 full army for Age of Sigmar and 2 for 40k.
Okay, yeah, so...
Yeah, 3 right now.
I'm kind of teetering on what would probably be a full army between Age of Sigmar and, like, maybe have an army in 40k, but then, like, 2 separate armies in Age of Sigmar.
You're pretty close to having a decent-sized Sylvaneth army.
Yeah.
Same with your Ideneth.
Yeah, that's...
Probably pretty easily play 1,000-point games with either of them.
Probably. I'll need to get the books for both of them eventually, but...
At this point, just wait until 3rd edition comes out.
Yeah, which
We'll touch on that later.
Yeah. But yeah, so, all in all, I think just based off of our first introductory game of the Warhammer Quest, it is really fun. Like Drew said multiple times, it's well worth the money for like what you get out of it in terms of the product.
Yep. And hopefully the rogue, reply to someone's tweet on Twitter was not accurate, and it is just a production issue that they're having with it right now. Because we really don't need more drama in the game space.
Wait. What?
Well, apparently in the last few weeks, someone asked the Warhammer community Twitter about what was going on with Warhammer Quest and why it was so hard to get and why there weren't more. And eventually one of the community people just replied with, "It was a limited run. There are no more," even though all of the ads and whatnot leading up to the release of the game was not suggestive of that at all.
I would feel like, especially for like a new game that they're trying to put out on the market, they wouldn't make it a limited release.
No.
But
and then there's also the fact that they said that they planned on doing expansions for it, which also wouldn't make sense for it to be a limited run.
No, definitely not. Like that,
unless like they were planning on the box set being a limited run and then having everything else available through the main Age of Sigmar line.
That would make more sense, but yeah, I don't see that being a limited run for the game as a whole. That seems kind of...
It may be something that they don't plan on making more until they have everything else caught up in production, which I could see, given how far behind they are on what they want to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like
and
that's
how hard it is to get things produced and shipped right now because of COVID still being a plague to everyone.
Yep. Yeah, so hopefully that's, like you said, just a shipping issue and that's it, because I can't honestly see a world where a game like, in general, would be...
Especially something as popular as Warhammer Quest, because every version of this game that they have ever released has been popular ever since Hero Quest in, 80s or 90s, whenever that came out.
To say you would know before I went on that one.
I know it's old. I think it's from the late 80s or early 90s.
Okay.
It's one of the most popular tabletop board game type games to have ever been made. Like, even Silver Tower did amazingly well when Age of Sigmar was hated by the community because of the end of Warhammer Fantasy and the end times and all that. So I really don't think that they'll just be doing it as a limited run, as this Warhammer community rep has suggested. But I don't know. I'm just some guy that likes to build models, paint them, and play games.
Yeah. I think that it is spot on. But yeah, hopefully that's not the case, at least for the game itself going forward, because that, again, like that just seems kind of...
Remember
that seems like a bad marketing strat.
A lot of local game stores still have dozens of copies, so like, don't go thinking that there aren't any available right now.
Exactly.
If you see it and it's something you're interested in, I would grab it just to have it. If you decide you don't want it, you can sell it.
Yeah, I was just say, like,
it's not like you have to keep it. And if it does end up being a limited run and you decide you don't want it, make a little money off it.
Yeah, I mean...
Don't be one of those douchebags that goes and buys 20 copies and sells them for $600 each, though.
Those kinds of people are...
There's a special place in hell for them, and it's not anywhere I will ever go.
Yep. But I guess moving on to the subject of hell, well, not necessarily hell, but...
Wolfenkarn's not a fun place to be.
So I've heard. So for anybody who, I guess, has been playing PC games and whatnot, there's a couple of games we're going to touch on. But the one that I know, I think it was either last episode or the first episode that I had brought up that I was really excited to see for an update was Phasmaphobia, which is why I was kind of making the joke of hell, because there's demons and Onis and all this other shit, and probably some ghosts that went to hell, which I'll have a joke for that in a minute. But anyway...
don't spoil it.
Oh, no, trust me. It's not going to be as funny as... I don't know. We'll see. The humor, I think, is there, but maybe it's not. But anyway,
we'll see when we get there.
I don't know what our listeners or viewers, or if anybody is watching, knows what my sense of humor would be.
We're just kind of screaming into the void right now, aren't we?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, at least for our perspective. Obviously, you guys that are theoretically watching this or listening to this, you're listening to me just make a rambling fool of myself, which is generally what I'm going to do. So if you haven't figured that out by now, Drew will probably tell you.
And he does that pretty often. Not to say that I don't, but, you know.
It's also partially what my, I guess, job description is now, so...
Amateur radio host.
So take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, so Phasmaphobia made a big announcement of a huge update that they were coming out with. And it just came out, I believe, not even 2 weeks ago now, as of this recording. for anybody that hasn't played the game or is somewhat familiar with the game but isn't quite aware of what the update was, basically the ghosts, the AIs were getting really ramped up with like their hunting mechanics and things like that to really add the shit your pants kind of factor. For example, the ghosts over time will get faster with every hunt like that would take place. So depending on the difficulty of the game that you're in, the hunts will have like a certain time that they'll take place. So like amateur is 30 seconds, whereas professional will go up to 90 seconds and so on. During that time, after each hunt that will take place, so like if you're on your third hunt, regardless of whatever difficulty you're on, the ghost will gradually get faster, like in movement speed, apart from one, because if that got a movement speed buff, that thing would be broken more than it already is. There's one...
Make it faster.
That's the thing. There's a ghost, which is a revenant, that if it has line of sight of you during a hunt, it will catch up to you. Like, no questions asked. You cannot outrun a revenant. You have to hide. Like, you have to hide from a revenant. Otherwise, you're shit out of luck. So every other ghost will essentially get faster over time, except for the revenants, because of the mechanic. It's basically to help the players to try and find the clues faster, or at least that's part of the concept. The other concept is that, oh shit, I'm getting chased. Oh shit, why is this ghost catching up to me? Holy shit, I'm gonna die, kind of deal. So that was a kind of cool little addition.
So what you're saying is you're Pac-Man.
Yeah, except for you can't eat the ghosts like you can in Pac-Man, or you can't kill the ghosts. The ghosts will always be able to kill you, but you can't do anything about the ghosts. You just got to figure out what kind of ghosts they are and then get the fuck out. Another cool little update that did with the ghost AI is the ghosts, wherever they ended the last hunt at, like the area that they were in, is based off of where they last heard you. And when the next hunt would take place is where they will spawn. Whereas like their first hunt will be in the room that you would find them in. Because the whole object of the game is you'll go in, you'll locate the ghost's room, which then allows you to interact with the ghost and try and get clues as to what kind of ghost it could be. And you can still interact with the ghost in its room to get clues, but when it hunts, it will spawn at the last place that it heard the player it was hunting. So like, let's say Drew and I were playing this theoretically, even though I don't think Drew has played yet. But in the hypothetical case that Drew and I were playing...
I don't have money to spend on video games. I spend all my money on models.
Yeah, he does all the model painting, even though I sometimes do, but I do more of the video game on PC, making a fool of myself on stream, yada yada yada. But anyway, in the hypothetical scenario where Drew and I were hunting a ghost, and the ghost goes in hunt mode, and I was the last person that it heard or followed, and the hunt ends. Wherever I was at when that hunt ended is where that ghost would then spawn for the next hunt. So it basically, like say you're in the kitchen when the ghost stops hunting you. The ghost will then spawn in the kitchen regardless if its room is in the kitchen or if it's out in like the garage, let's say. So it caught me off guard when I played it the other day, because I knew the update had taken effect, but I didn't really take into account how...
What, did you not read the update notes?
No. I did read the update notes. I think the thing that threw me off was that, I guess what I'm kind of getting at with that whole like example is Logan and I played. For anybody that doesn't know, my roommate is Logan. Not that that matters. But anyway, my roommate and I played the other day, and he was the last one to get chased by the ghost. And I didn't know where he was, because I was outside in the van, like trying to get stuff set up for like going back into the house, and the ghost hunted him. So Logan was the last one to be chased by the ghost, which I didn't obviously think to ask him where he was at when he got hunted, or when the hunt ended, because then I would have a general idea of where to look. So I just kind of assumed that he was
dead.
No, I knew he wasn't dead, but it was more of I didn't know where the ghost was going to be spawning from in the next hunt occurrence. I kind of just based it off the idea it was going to be close to its own room, where for the map we were on, it was basically by the back door to the house is where its room was. Now, when Logan and I both went back
some wealth.
When we both went back into the house, we went into the ghost, or went to go to the ghost's room, and the ghost immediately started hunting as soon as we walked into the door. We got no reaction time. Logan dipped towards the basement, which was a little further up right from the ghost room. I went upstairs. I literally turned the corner upstairs to go into one of the bedrooms, and that fucking ghost comes around the corner and scares the absolute shit out of me. And that is when 2 and 2 got put together of Logan had gone upstairs during the last hunt. I didn't...
That's why he dipped for the basement.
Well,
that little bitch.
I think it was also because we were right by the basement, and...
No, he knew the ghost was upstairs.
Maybe he played me. Like, he's definitely trying to get
me... He set you up.
He's definitely tried to get me and his brother-in-law Cody killed a couple different times, even though Cody and I won't deliberately try and get him killed. He'll antagonize the shit out of Ghost. Like, I will too, but I won't try and sabotage one of them to getting killed. Logan's taken it a step further and tried to get us killed, which is good to know, because now I know I can retaliate. But anyway, yeah, so I thought, all in all, the updates were really, really nicely done for that. Just for the, like I said, shit your pants mechanics, because I got spooked 3 or 4 times during that session, and I'll get jump scared by the game periodically because of how the ghosts are.
I mean, jump scares are the best scares.
Yeah, like a genuine, like, not expecting the ghost to be where it is, or just like various little odds and ends that people who played the game have experienced.
I mean, let's be honest, that's why Dead Space was as scary as it was.
Oh yeah, Dead Space.
Like they set that spooky, dark tone, and then jump scares. Just well-timed, well-placed jump scares. It's like, the game itself is not that scary. The monsters aren't overwhelmingly horrifying. Some of the bosses are, but I mean, like, that's design.
Yeah, it definitely fits like the horror genre, but it's very subtle, but it does, like you said, have very well-timed jump scares and whatnot.
Yeah, which is honestly the reason the game is so scary. Is like, it's just the tone and the setting. It's not the creatures themselves, because it's just that tension of, is it going to be around this corner?
Exactly.
No, how about this corner? No, shit, it's behind me.
Exactly, like that. Yeah, like I'm gonna have to replay Dead Space, the first one at least.
I mean, the first and second are worth playing.
The first and second. I'm sorry.
I own the third.
The third,
it's fun. It's not good, but it's fun.
I remember, I never played it, but I remember my roommate at the time playing through it and saying it was a real big disappointment compared to the first 2.
Yeah, like, it's a lot of fun because it gives you so much customization options for your different weapons and such, but the game isn't that good.
Fair.
But it is co-op.
Noted. But yeah, to kind of wrap things up on the whole Phasmaphobia thing, the update is really good. It was a big thing that I was really excited to see announced, and when they finally put it into the patch notes and updated the game with it, it definitely had me scared shitless. So, like I said, for anybody that's heard our previous episodes, I do stream on Twitch, which is at twitch.tv/churchesgaming, and I do stream Phasmaphobia as well as other games. So if you're interested in watching me get the shit scared out of me senselessly, or just various nonsense or other games in general, come stop by and I leave suggestions, tell me I'm a clown rambling.
One of these days we should just stream you and me playing one of the Halo games on Legendary. Just getting our asses handed to us.
Oh man. Yeah, that would be...
It'll be a good time.
We might have to get alcohol for that.
Absolutely.
Just every time we die, we take a drink.
Shots.
That might be a bit extreme if we're thinking about this the same way.
Just, oh shit, I died. Time to do a shot.
Well, if you guys want to hear that or experience that, let us know, and I'm sure Drew will convince me to jump on board with that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I already own all the games.
We'll probably set some ground rules first, just so that way it doesn't get too out
of
hand.
No vodka.
At least not for me. Please, God. But anyway.
No, we'll just get out the good rum.
I'm fine with the rum. Yeah. Vodka, not in high quantities. Vodka and I don't mix. Whiskey, content. Rum, A-okay. Vodka, no.
No tequila.
Oh.
Staying away from tequila.
Again, tequila doses.
I don't know why people choose to drink tequila.
I mean, some tequila's not bad, but again, it's to each their own kind of deal. Where moving on. If you guys do want to see us make fools of ourselves on Halo Legendary with alcohol involved, let us know. I'm sure that can be arranged.
Let us know which Halo game
or any game really. Like, I think that can definitely be a thing. But on the subject of games that just got released, Drew and I were talking earlier about Resident Evil Village.
Which comes out, this weekend?
It just came out.
Just came out?
Yep.
Was it over the weekend?
Yep, just over the weekend.
I couldn't remember if it was this last weekend or this coming weekend.
Yep. It just came out this past Friday or Saturday, I believe.
I work those days. Like, I work both of those days, so those days don't exist to me.
Right.
They're just a blur of sleep and drunken idiots at work. So
That's fair. But yeah, it came out this past weekend. I'm sure pretty much everybody that would be listening to this is already aware and has probably even already played it. For us, we have not. He's got the demo, and I've seen clips and tidbits of the game.
Speaking of which, after this, we should check out the demo. I mean, we might as well. We're sitting here at my computer with the demo.
Yeah. But anyway, basically I kind of wanted to just talk about it a little bit from what I do know about the game. For anybody that is not familiar with it, or I guess with the franchise, it's a direct sequel to 7. I unfortunately haven't had the chance to play 7. I think what I'm going to be doing as of this recording is I'm going to look to get the bundle of 7 and 8 and do a playthrough on my stream. So if you guys want to check that out, it'll probably be around the time that this episode will air.
It's probably this weekend.
Yeah. If not before, but it'll probably be 7 or parts of 7 that you'll see, and then I'll probably be starting 8 as of when this episode goes up. So if you want to see 7, there will be VODs, or I might even hold
Depends
off.
on how long it takes them to beat it.
Yeah, it depends on... Exactly. But from what I've seen and from what I've been hearing from people that have played the game so far, it sounds like it is a top-notch game for the franchise. Like, I think for a lot of people, 5 and 6 were a bit of letdown. Like 6 especially. 6,
like 5 had a really solid co-op system set up, but that was like what the game was built around. If you played it by yourself, it was a pain in the ass because it was like every scene in the 4th one with Ashley, only the AI was still stupid and armed this time and could shoot you in the back. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, I know for a lot of people I've spoken to about the franchise, like, 4 is probably one of the better revered games of the franchise.
I mean, 4 is my favorite one, hands down.
4 is definitely up there for me. 2 is another good one in my book. I don't remember 3, at least not in depth.
It was the one with Jill and the Nemesis.
That's right. Yep.
It was not technically a sequel to the second one because it took place, I think, like right around the same time.
Yeah.
Like, part of the game was, like, before the events of Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2, and the second half of the game was, like, just after or something like that. I don't remember. I haven't played it since the 90s or 2000s.
Right.
I'm old, okay?
But yeah, from what I've, again, seen and heard, and from what I remember seeing of the gameplay in 7, as well as the little tidbits in 8, as well as the feedback I've heard, like, 8 is probably up there with 4 for the general, like, fan base agreement.
I've heard nothing but good things about both of them.
Yeah, and 7, from what I understand and vaguely remember, sets the tone and sets the stage very well for 8. So
yeah,
that's one reason I'm not just jumping straight into 8, because I do want to, like, fully understand what's going on, because of how story-driven the game is, as well as just getting back into the gameplay in the series itself. Like, it's been so long since I've actually played a Resident Evil game. Like, I'm kind of just looking forward to jumping in and...
Well, I mean, we could go play some of the older ones. I have them.
That's also fair. That'll probably be another thing to throw into the mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would love to get your guys' thoughts on what you think of 8, or just the series in general, what your favorite Resident Evil game is. Like, kind of curious as to what you guys think of the franchise's good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, if we're still recording podcast episodes in, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 months from now when they announce Halo Infinite's release date, we can talk about that and how much that game has changed. Just like how with the Resident Evil series, 7 is an excellent place to start if you have not played any of the previous games.
Definitely. So yeah, so we're gonna move on to talk a little bit about Warhammer Fest
and the new models they have revealed.
Because, I mean, obviously for us recently, especially, Warhammer has been a big one thing to keep us busy because of the miniature painting and everything else, and also because we're starting to get a little bit more involved in wanting to play the game a little bit more. So Drew actually was sending me links of the various models that had been kind of leaked or announced, I think around the time that Warhammer Fest was starting, or right before.
A couple of them I sent to you the week before they started their Warhammer Fest week thing, because they were ones that they just showed off beforehand.
Yeah.
And then I kind of sent them to you as I found out about them afterwards. Kind of like when I texted you the other day and I was like, hey, Age of Sigmar 3.0.
Right.
I was like, don't try to buy your battle tomes yet.
Yeah, because I was probably going to plan on getting the battle tomes for either the Idanet or the Sylvanet, depending on where everything was at for my models and whatnot. Because, as I've told Drew a couple different times now, that I'm probably beating a dead horse in his mind. My plan right now, or has been, to kind of revitalize some of my paintings that I've done since he got me first into doing miniatures and whatnot. So, because otherwise I'm going to just look back on how they were and not be really happy with them, and then try and paint a new model and all that other shit. So, that's one thing I've been trying to emphasize, is like, before I invest into getting some new models and things like that, I want to touch up the ones I have to kind of, one, give them the colors and everything else to fit with what I had envisioned at the start, and also like see where I've progressed from when I first started till now. But anyway, basically on the subject, he forwarded me specifically the one of the new Sylvaneth model, which...
Yeah, he's playing like a flute or something.
Yeah, like, he's got like a...
I kind of think I want to get this model too.
It looks
really cool.
Yeah, like...
I have no interest in Sylvaneth, but this model's really cool.
It honestly is what kind of like got me back into wanting to invest more time into Sylvaneth, because once I had found out about the Ideneth, I basically just jumped.
He wrote the Sylvaneth off, and it was like, okay, you guys can stay in the forest, just hang out in there, grow your trees, whatever you do. I'm gonna go and play with my water elves.
Exactly. God damn it. I mean, you're not wrong, but god damn it. So yeah, and that's 100% true. That's pretty much what I did. But seeing this, as well as like knowing a little bit more about the lore and a lot more of the details that I was not really familiar with going into the game from the get-go, it's kind of like reignited me to invest more time into completing the Sylvaneth army, and eventually having like both the Sylvaneth and the Ideneth armies as options. But yeah, this model looks just really cool. Like, whether it be like Drew had said as a standalone model just for the painting it and whatnot, or in my case to have for my army and whatnot. Like, I don't know what the hell it does. It could be complete trash as far as the game is concerned, but it's a gorgeous model. So
yeah, I mean, like, I'm in the middle of painting the Lord Celestin on Stardrake for my Stormcasts. The general consensus is that he's not a very good model for the points cost for the game, but he looks really fucking cool. He's on a dragon. So, yes, I'm going to play it.
It's the same thing for me with the Eidolon for the Ideneth. It's like, it's not considered a great model for the points and everything else, but it is easily my favorite model of the Ideneth. Like, hands down.
It's gorgeous.
It's a beautiful model. Like, I think that was one of the whole selling points for the transition to the Ideneth, was that model alone. Like,
hey Tyler, look at this model. Damn it.
That's almost verbatim probably what I said too, honestly. Like,
it was either that or God damn it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know my like trigger words or like phrases well enough.
Common responses.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like,
I mean, we've been friends long enough. I would hope I know
how you
respond to things.
Oh, absolutely. Just like the initial, like, you hear "God damn it," it's like he knows damn well I'm interested, but I'm also shaking my head because he knows that he's basically hooked me into some shit that I shouldn't be buying or whatever. But I'm probably going to.
As long as you have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I always do. But God damn it. Anyway, speaking of Stormcasts, you have some cool models coming out for your party as well.
There's a new, she was almost like an angel standing on a giant rock. It is one of the coolest models I have seen ever, and I am really excited about it. I'm going to try and stick a picture of it on the podcast here if I can find a good one to put on. But like, yeah, so standing at the top of some stairs to some dilapidated building, wings spread, spear sticking straight up, sword off to the side, just gorgeous sculpt.
For me, it's the same thing as him with the Sylvaneth model. It's a model I'm not going to reuse because I don't have Stormcast, but I would love to get my hands on that just for like looking at it or just to paint. It is a beautiful. I keep saying beautiful, but goddamn it, they are some fantastic models.
Beautiful. Like Games Workshop, their stuff is expensive, but oh my god, are their models so gorgeous? Like, there's a reason that they are considered the best in the market.
Yeah, like
yeah, they have some flops here and there, but I mean, when you make as many different things as they do, of course you're going to have some things that aren't well received.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess one thing that I'm kind of surprised wasn't a flop, that was not a flop. That I was surprised when I saw it was
the crab.
The crab.
What about Lord Croak?
Lord Croak.
Yeah, Lord Croak. It's one of the new models, I think.
You're probably right. I just don't remember which one it was. Was that the skink?
Yeah. Lord Croak.
I don't dislike the design. Like I guess the whole what would be backdrop for him. I don't know about the little guy itself, because I was talking with Drew about this earlier as well. Like, the skinks, I think for me, are kind of a cool design, like on paper, just because of the whole Aztec or temple theme that they have going on, the very almost tribal-esque kind of
very
appearance.
Aztec-inspired, Mayan, Aztec.
Yeah, like just very
Central American native tribes.
But with lizard people.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I really like the idea and the concept of them. So I don't know if those would be ever an army that I would play, but I would certainly not be opposed to painting some of them because there's a lot of cool ways you could paint those, I'm sure.
They're also the army with dinosaurs.
They are also the army with dinosaurs, yes.
They have a T-Rex you can ride. Like raptor riders. Another, I think it's a Stegosaurus is one of them. Like, they have a lot of really cool just dinosaurs.
Reptiles riding reptiles.
Yeah.
It's a...
Why not?
It's
mammals ride mammals.
It's a hierarchy I don't know if I'll ever understand, but I don't know their lore enough to really know what the whole thought process is there. But either way, I do think, again, just for the throne or whatever you want to call it that he has going on is really cool.
It is really cool.
I can see where the center model looks a little...
Lord Croak.
little more...
silly,
derpy, I guess is probably the...
I mean, to be fair, it is also just being zoomed in on my computer here, so...
Right,
very
but,
pixelated.
But like the headdress I can see being more of the focal point because you have the gens that would be the eyes to kind of focus on, but then you see his face and it's just like...
Is that Jar Jar Binks?
It's like... I guess...
It's like Jar Jar Binks if he was allergic to bees and got stung on the chin.
He's not wrong. Which is what makes me more...
And again, I'll see if I can put a picture of this into the podcast here.
Yeah, for anybody that wants to see what we're talking about that isn't familiar with the Warhammer stuff, yeah, I'm sure he'll find a way to at least have the images or something to give you an idea. But like I said, like the model for the wide angle really looks cool. Good.
It is definitely something that I would think would be amazing to see on the table.
Yeah, but the main figure that's supposed to be the central emphasis for the miniature itself, it definitely looks like
Jar Jar Binks was stung by a bee.
What he said. But yeah, so I can understand. I think some people were probably a little bit more disappointed by that one, I guess. I know
that, and I don't think the old model for Lord Croak was all that old to begin with. I think that was the other reason that people were confused by it.
Okay.
But again, I don't play Skinks either, so I'm not really sure.
Right. As I say, I don't know enough about Skinks to know what models they specifically have.
I just know that they have dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know they're...
My friend plays Skinks, and he put a bunch of dinosaurs on the table, and I was like, okay.
I didn't realize we were getting Jurassic Park up in this shit. All right. But,
hey, Stormcasts, go! Slay the dinosaurs!
That sounds like some shit the Stormcast would do.
Lay low the tyrants.
But another cool set of models that got leaked, or, well, I guess teased / confirmed more or less, was the vampires.
Ah, yes, the vampires. More models that I want to get and paint just because they are really awesome.
Yeah, they definitely have a couple of this, what I'm assuming are going to be the smaller units that
and the Vampire Centaur.
You definitely have some of the smaller units that fit traditional vampire kind of aesthetic. But then you have what I'm assuming to be either a larger scale model or
probably similar size to the Tree Lord. Would be my guess.
That's probably a safe bet.
I don't think it's going to be on the same scale as Alariel or the Stark Drake, but
If it is, like, holy shit. That's a big fucking bat lady.
Right?
Centaur thing.
Bat centaur.
We're not sure. Like,
no, I think this is what happens when a vampire bites a centaur and turns it into a vampire.
Maybe. Like, again, for anybody, we'll try and get the images to show for you guys so you have a little bit of a source material to understand what the hell we're talking about. But, like I was saying, like, the miniature, or the smaller scale vampires fit the traditional theme of vampires, where they're more humanoid, have, like, some very, I'm trying to think of, like, the right word choice for this, but, like, very artistic armor pieces and weaponry and things like that, and kind of gives you, like, that Castlevania...
Like that very gothic, Castlevania-inspired imagery.
Yeah.
Which is why I want them.
Yeah,
I want to play the Soul Plate Great Lords, I think they're called. Nothing against them, just not my thing.
Yeah.
But then definitely going to paint them up to look like Dracula and Alucard.
Right. But then for what we're going to assume is the bigger scale model, or the main centerpiece model.
One of them at least, because I'm pretty sure Radikar is supposed to be a pretty big model too.
I could see that as well.
So, like, I think he's supposed to be similar in size to I think base size is going to be one of the big round ones, like 100 mil, 60 or 100.
Okay.
Is what I've heard. I don't know. He's another model I'll probably pick up when they come out. Even though I have no reason to.
Addictions. Painting addictions.
At least it's not drugs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or smoking anymore.
True. But,
how's that going for you?
I at least don't get into anything too crazy, and I do try to keep it somewhat to a minimum. But yeah, for the bigger one, the design is very drastically different than compared to what I think most people expect to see when they think vampire, because it has like it has the upper body of the vampire, but then the lower half kind of
a giant bat.
Yeah, like a giant bat that I can't.
Have you ever seen Underworld?
Yeah, I think something like Underworld meets Castlevania.
No. I'm pretty sure there is something almost identical to this in one of the Underworld movies, or maybe it's there was some vampire movie that came out in like the 2000s with some bat creature.
I know with Underworld 2, like they had a more almost demonic looking vampire. But,
yeah, that might be it.
But I honestly, if I'm thinking of it correctly, don't think it quite compares to this.
No, but it looks very much inspired.
It's in the ballpark, yeah. It definitely has a similar ballpark. It's basically like you have where the head would be for the giant vampire, is where the torso onward starts for the normal vampire. That's basically what you're picturing.
It's
right
a centaur.
It's a centaur vampire.
Take a bat walking on all. Cut off its head and then stick a person's waist there.
You can look at it as a centaur or a vamptor. Your pick. As far as you didn't come up with that, to be honest, I'm kind of regretting saying that
I'm
now.
disappointed in you.
Why? Because you didn't think of it first?
No, because that was awful. It's a centaur. An evil undead centaur. But kill it with fire.
Jesus. But yeah, they do have some really cool models. I won't be surprised if Drew picks some up. I might pick one up depending on what they run and where I'm at with everything else I'm doing.
I mean, Radikar and the 4 vampires that they showed off, I'm probably going to pick those up.
Yeah.
At some point. Not anytime soon. Like, I'll let the people that actually want to play the army pick them up and worry about it later. But
as I say, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people looking to pick these up anyway.
Yeah. Like, I do want to get them, though, because I want to use one of them as a stand-in for Strahd, for the Curse of Strahd campaign that I plan on running at some point here in the near future. Or hopefully near future. We'll see how COVID goes.
Yeah. And I think I think the last model that caught my attention from the festival was the new god. Was it? Now, do you remember if he's a Chaos God?
This guy?
Yeah.
The big centaur guy? The actual centaur?
The actual centaur.
I don't think he's a Chaos God, but he is a god. Because, like, the actual Chaos Gods are all spoken for. Like, there are the 4 of them. There's
right.
Tzeentch, Khorne,
Nurgle,
and
Slaanesh.
He is Kragnos, which he is a god. I don't remember what he is a god of, because, like, that's in the new lore book.
Right.
For Broken Realms Kragnos, which I've not read. I've actually not picked up any of those. I might when they're, cheaper, or if I can find them used anywhere. I like buying used books.
Yeah. Helps for information as well as just kind of nice to have. But, yeah, as far as this model goes, like, this is definitely a centaur. Like, more of a centaur than the vampire centaur.
No, it's a centaur. It's definitely a centaur.
Like, it looks pretty cool. Like,
he is kind of chaosy. He is a god, but I don't think he is one of the chaos gods.
Yeah, like, in the grand scheme, he's probably not a chaos god. We're fairly confident he's not. I was just more going as those are the only gods that I really know of, apart from Alariel, and there's like one other one that comes. I thought maybe I don't know.
Stormcasts.
Does Stormcast have a god?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't remember his name.
Fair enough. So yeah,
Sigmar. Age of Sigmar.
Oh, there we go. Easy.
For whatever reason, I was thinking Aesir, and I'm like, that's where they're from.
So yeah, like, the new god looks pretty cool. It's centaur, very centaur-y.
This is something I want to pick up and paint at some point, but again, I'll let the people that actually want to play it pick it up first.
What don't you want to paint?
Tyranids.
Fair. So on the subject of the Age of Sigmar, the new book got announced as well.
Yes, we should be seeing Age of Sigmar 3rd edition sometime this year, probably towards the end of the summer. And that has me really annoyed because I just got into the game last year and I just bought my book.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a bummer for him, especially because he committed all that to getting everything set up, and then comes to find out that he could have waited. But I mean, to be fair, we didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah,
like that was just unfortunate circumstances, if nothing else. But
I mean, worst case scenario, I have a cool book, cool art.
It's not like it's going to hurt anything to have for, like, if we wanted to play by the old loadouts or something like that.
And I mean, we don't play in tournaments, so I may just go and pick up the full-size core book for 2nd edition and do that when it's on sale because no store wants to carry it anymore.
Right.
Instead of paying $60 for it, pick it up for probably like $35 or $40.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And then just stick to playing that with him and my other friends until they convince me to go to the new edition.
Which I'm sure eventually, once we get to a point where we have our armies put together the way we want to and whatnot, as well as get more familiar with the game as a whole, we might probably look to do some of the tournaments at like our local shops and whatnot.
Yeah, and especially with nothing actually being open for tournament play, there's no reason worrying about it for us because we aren't competitive. We're just in it for the fun.
Yeah, right now our biggest emphasis and what we're interested in is like the painting, the building, and just the casual theme of the game.
Playing Cursed City.
Yeah. But overall, like, it would be fun to eventually do some tournament play, just to kind of see how the game actually unfolds, seeing some of the other people's like works for how they painted their armies, what other armies there are out there, like on table, because I've seen all the armies now, or I guess we both have. we've seen both armies over the last few months to know what all of them are, or at least the majority of them look like, even if we don't play them. But to see them in action, and again, to see how people have kind of taken the theme of a certain army and created it in their own mind is something I always really like seeing, especially whenever, I'm sure even Drew too, like whenever we start to look at like examples for a model that we want to paint.
Yeah.
Just like source material and
like,
just see.
Unless I look at a model and just instantly have a vision in my head, like a full vision, I look up stuff all the time.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to see people's skill and artwork and whatnot, and
there's some amazing artists out there.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people at like a local level that I think have some really good talent. So to be able to see it up close and in person like that is really kind of one thing that makes me excited to hopefully when things reopen, that will be an opportunity for us once we are able to do that.
And one of these days you'll have to come over when I have some of my other friends that play over.
Yeah.
So see the stuff they painted.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get to a point where we can get that going. It's just like scheduling is the big thing. Scheduling and for me at this point kind of getting my army built, but getting there.
I mean, again, you've got enough of it to play.
Yeah. No, I think for me right now it's the battle tomes and well, honestly in this case the battle tomes, but I do eventually want to get a more full-scale army done for both of them and the craft worlds eventually.
Eventually have enough to play 2,000 points of whichever one you want?
More or less. I think another thing I'll look to do too is get like some terrain so that way I can set up my own
that way you and Logan can play at your place too?
Well, probably by the time I would get to that setup.
No. By the time Logan gets to that point.
I mean, yeah. By that point, I'll have my own table with some landscape and everything done up, and have all that good shit. So that way, it's not just the table. Because I kind of want to get to where I can start adding more shit to that too. So.
Yeah, at some point I want to pick up some more terrain for both fantasy and sci-fi, because it's nice to have terrain, gives you things to shoot around, hide behind, other places to place objectives, and something I need to get is some objective markers. But in the meantime, we've got a little bit of terrain for both fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh. Like, we have enough to kind of use for what we're doing right now so that it evens out. And eventually, like I said, I'll get my own stuff so I can add to the battlefield for what we do or what my roommate and I will eventually potentially be doing in our own time. And yeah, and maybe down the line we'll have like video of some of our gameplay or something to throw into the mix as well. So that way you don't necessarily just get the podcast, you'll also get like some gameplay from various games that we do, potentially. We'll see.
Yeah, we just got to find the other camera.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
We keep saying that. But one of these days we actually will.
I mean, we did say that, and now we're doing the podcast.
Yeah, a year later.
I think now we've got the momentum. I don't think we have an excuse not to like commit to this.
Right. You heard him. In a year we'll have all that stuff up and ready.
Fuck's sake. Oh, I think that about should do it.
I mean, unless you want to show off those updates you made to your Ilario.
Yeah,
I think it's your best looking model.
Yeah, so for, like I'd said at the start, for anybody, Drew got me into the game a couple months back.
Yeah, just before the holidays.
Yeah.
So, like, October, November.
Somewhere in there. And when I got my Sylvaneth put together, I was hard committed to getting my Ilario painted. Like, Drew helped me paint the Tree Lord. I painted all my other little units and whatnot.
This guy.
Yep, that is the Tree Lord, although the lighting might Well, there we go.
Probably not the best for it.
But pretty much, like, for me, my theme that I was going for with the Sylvaneth, as well as, like, the general idea I do whenever I make my armies, is I try to have some kind of theme. And for the Sylvaneth, I went for, like, a Four Seasons kind of vibe. So, like, each major unit or series of units would have, like, an ongoing theme. So for Tree Lord, went for fall. Some of the other, like, hunters, I have, like, the summer thing. The little guys, I have the winter theme, which I have a couple of them right here. It's probably not the best camera lighting, but you get the general idea. Like, they have more of that dead, rotting, kind of snowy look to them. So for the Alariel, after I got a little bit more time under my belt, I went back and redid my old paint job because I wasn't too happy with how I thought it looked. And I've since gotten some terrain features and whatnot, and this is kind of the end result I'm working with now. Like, I was able to add like a transition from the winter to spring kind of deal. So you'll add like a little bit more of the texture paint on top to kind of give the beetle more of that coming up from the snow. Like, I'm really happy with how this looks now compared to when I first had it and whatnot. So, yeah. Like,
you done good, kid.
God damn it. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm really looking forward to getting more painting done, and I'll probably be doing the same thing as Drew with my Instagram because I haven't had an excuse to use it. So probably in the next couple days, probably by the time this episode airs, let's say, I'll have stuff on my Instagram if you want to check that out. That'll be over at Thai Base Guy. I'll probably just start off with the Sylvaneth. I'm currently revising my Ideneth models, and I'm still working on my craft worlds. So those I'll kind of post over time, but if you want to check any of those out, you can do it there. Again, go check out Drew's shit. He's got a lot of cool stuff up already, and he's been a big influence for getting me to where I'm at. Like, if you think what I had there is cool, he's got some cooler shit, or just as cool shit.
Depends on what you like.
But go check out his stuff. You can check out my stuff when I get around to getting that around.
Don't forget to set up that Instagram.
It's set up. I just need to, like, use it. I need to do the thing. I just dev it.
If you don't have anything on it, is it really set up?
I mean, just pictures of food count.
That's what my old one is. That's why I just started a new one.
I might even just redo it. No, I'll keep it as is. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have some stuff on there here soon. Now that I've gotten a little bit more momentum with doing the painting and whatnot. So yeah, I think. Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
Remember, join us in 2 weeks, and we'll ramble about whatever has happened between then and now. Maybe talk about what we've painted.
Yeah. As I say, I don't think we have anything currently lined up for ideas yet.
Not anything that I've thought of that we really need to talk about, but
usually we don't generally get ideas until like halfway through the week after we record.
One of us will shoot a message to the other one. We'll just be like, "Hey, how about this?" It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yep. All right, cool. Good? Yeah, all right. Deal.
And then we'll talk for a few minutes before recording and be like, oh yeah, we should also talk about this.
Yeah, a lot of what you'll see or hear from us is going to be like either somewhat planned out ahead of time, or a lot of it from me is spur of the moment, just kind of impulse spouting nonsense.
I think the closest we've been to planning anything is I picked up Warhammer Quest the weekend before we just had already planned on recording our first episode, and we had no idea what we were going to talk about. So I was like, let's just talk about this.
Yep. So we wing a lot of shit, but I feel like if you've enjoyed everything so far, then you're here for a reason. But all the same, we appreciate anybody that does check out the podcast. Again, check out our Instagrams for his stuff, my soon-to-be stuff. You can check me out on Twitch, and you can... I don't know where I was going with that last one.
I don't know. You're the one.
I'm sure I've covered all of the social media shit in previous episodes, or we both have covered our respective sources. So, if anything, just go back and check those if you haven't. If you like what you've heard, check back in 2 weeks' time. We'll have some more.
Yeah, we'll have another episode up. We'll ramble on about more random shit. And, just have fun, paint some stuff, play some games. And if you have any ideas or things you'd like to hear our dumbass opinions on, let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, we will catch you next time.